Hello friends, how are you doing? What's the story? That was a fun week. That was alright. I quite enjoyed that actually. After breaking our backs for the past couple of weeks and kind of the past couple of months, that was really good fun. Hi, welcome to Q&A number 6, I want to say. Yeah, Q&A number 6. Thank you so much to everyone for sending in questions. For the sake of being historically accurate, this is Friday the 16th of December, and we are on the Friday after the Monday that we launched the Doom documentaries, which have done incredibly well. I don't even know what done means anymore. I mean, traffic-wise, they've fucking blown everything I've ever done in the past out of the water, probably. But in terms of reception and in terms of attention and feedback, it's been something else. It's been like the project I always wanted to work on. I wasn't really expecting it. I was so deep in the edit and so deep in production that I didn't really think about how people would respond to it and how I'd respond to them responding to it. So it's been very very humbling. Like, to be completely honest, it's been both incredibly humbling and incredibly vindicating. It's like I was in bed this morning looking at the numbers on the 5 videos sitting together, and there was a couple of things that were popping into my head, which was one, there is an inverse relationship between the length of the videos and the amount of views they have, which is the opposite of what everyone will tell you in online video production, is that short videos do better. In fact, our longest video did the most and our shortest video did the least. That's a trailer, but it carries the whole way through. Thumbnail or titles, baity titles, we have the stupidest titles in the world for these videos, and that was like by design as well, that I just wanted to call them whatever the fuck they should be called and not what people should needs to see to click on them. So that was fun. And then we served something in the realm of, I think since we started, 1.4 million videos. Cumulatively, the Doom project has crossed 1 million on its own, and in that we have served a total of 0 commercials. There is no advertising on any of those videos, and nothing got picked up. There was always a worry that licensed music I used or licensed footage in some cases, like the especially in video number 2, that there might be something, somebody might do a third-party monetization on one of them. That hasn't happened either. So yeah, fucking mission complete. I'm sitting here on the other side going like, I fucking told you. Yes, you can make long-form content that people give a shit about, and you can build a business around it. You just need to detach yourself from the old way of thinking and use the tools that exist today. And I'm super privileged to have the audience that allowed me, gave me the wings to do this. But that should not be a reason why people that should not be a barrier to other people trying to do this, because an audience comes over time. So I feel really good about it. I feel like in many ways people are like, oh yeah, this is a good idea, why didn't someone do this before? And it's like, exactly. And now let's get more. I would love more than anything else for more people to try and do this type of thing. So it's been a fun week that way. It's been like, I've had to like just calm down a bit and not just go on Twitter and be like, I told you. And a little bit like be a bit like just shut your mouth, Danny, and be humble and like enjoy it. And I'm certainly humble to you guys, to the audience. So but it's it's after, it feels like after a decade of trying to tell people that this was possible, this project is the one that went, yep, because this has done, the first video has done more traffic than anything I've ever done long form, except the first part of the Overwatch video, but it might have overtaken it by the time this goes up. And the feedback's been amazing, and we were on the top of Reddit Games for 3 days, and loads more patrons. Thank you so much. If you're new, thank you so much. The Q&As usually have questions and answers. I'm just going on a little bit of a rant at the moment. This is all to say thank you all so much for making this happen. I said it in one of the updates, I'll say it again. This Doom project would not have happened without the amazing initial support that all of you gave to this project. We booked the flights very late. It all came together very late. Everything about this came together very late. That's why it was such a nightmare. Well, not a nightmare. Bethesda and id were actually unbelievably supportive, but we'll get into that in the questions. But The flights got booked 5 days out. The Airbnb got booked 3 days before. We were flying by the seat of our pants. Jeremy cancelled the gig to do it. So like there was loads of, we bend over backwards to make this happen, because if we didn't do it that week, we wouldn't have been able to do it. And like I said before, Rocket League was what I wanted to do for Doc 1. Doom was what I wanted to do for Doc 2. So we are 2 for 2 in 2016 on the videos we wanted to do, and we were able to do them because of your patronage. So thank you so much. Literally would not have happened without you. They probably wouldn't have replied to our initial conversations either if it wasn't for the amount of support that we had. So thank you so much. So in respect of that, I stayed off the beer for the past while, and I think that's probably something I'll probably do again like I did in summer. But there are moments in life that you need to celebrate, so I wanted to say cheers to all of you and have my first beer in a little while, and say thank you so much for making this happen. Didn't break or stain the lens. Very good. All right. Let's answer some motherfucking questions. First one up. Yum. Greg Ryan. It's the latest one. I can see it here. Do you have any plans for discussions about the current state of the gaming industry? I haven't read these ahead of time either, so it's going to be great. The state of the gaming industry with other grizzled vets. I always thought it would be interesting to hear a roundtable from some people who were in the games press but left, e.g. Dan Hugh, Greg Kasavin, and Adam Sester. Dan, Greg, and Adam, all very intelligent individuals. Yes, but I feel like, especially from the press side, I feel like that's something that we'll do in a couple of months' time. I have said this before. There was so much. This perception is like really, really important for any outlet, and the perception I wanted to be for NoClip was that we are doing important. Like, we are not doing, sidebars, indie game sidebars, or weird little stories, or press stuff. The press always talks about itself all the time. It's like, it's easy. It's a really easy thing to do. That would not be necessarily a very hard project to do. That's why you see a lot of us, why you see a lot of press talking to press, because it's fucking easy. It's easy, blah, blah. So like, what I wanted to do with this was to like, I don't know, do stuff that nobody had done before. And eventually we could do that. But once people know that we can do stuff like the Doom Project, I feel like they will allow us the space to be a bit more to do stuff like that, and also be a bit more avant-garde in some of the other stuff that we're going to get into next year. It'll allow us the sort of creative freedom or creative space to do that, because there's a sort of a foundation of core good stuff that people know we can do whenever we want to. I'm not against it, but I'm not going to do it'll be at least 6 months from the start of NoClip before I do anything to do with the press, talking about the press, because it's just a little bit too inside baseball, I think, for the start anyway. But yeah, good call. John Fisco, with all the deep dives you do into unreleased content and information, is there any ever fear of a company revoking footage or interviews after they've gone out? How do you go about getting that permission? Also, t-shirts. T-shirts, once there's like trademarky stuff that's still getting done, so we'll do some merch after that. Excuse me. But you can get the NoClip flag right now in Rocket League, which I've been rocking for the past couple of weeks, which is so amazing. It's like it's ridiculous. Like, having your own personal flag in the game is very strange, and like bumping into other people with it is like amazing. Although most of them are people on my friends list, so it doesn't matter. Sorry, John. So, any fear of a company revoking footage or interviews? Like, no. The genie is out of the bottle the minute stuff goes on the internet, right? So there's a worry that after the interview happens that maybe they might go, could you not leave? Could you not say that part or not say that part? Hasn't happened. And I think that's a lot to do with the initial conversations you have with these people. Like, they know where I'm coming from. They know that I want to tell them an authentic story. They know that I don't care about viewership, which means that I don't care about, getting anything they necessarily like. So the crux of this one, I guess, is like the Doom 4 footage, right? So that is a game that has been in the sort of consciousness of video game coverage for whatever 8 years or something, like 5, 6, 7 years probably, and no outlet ever got footage of that or a screenshot or anything, and we did. And we are basically, me and Jeremy, two bums living in the East Bay in Northern California, who have a website that had like 3 public videos before we signed this. No, actually, before, as we signed this, we had none. We had the trailer, I think. No, Rocket League hadn't gone up yet. So there was like, I think we're in a really good spot because they know that we don't give a shit about traffic necessarily. Like, it's not the be all to us, so we're not going to take advantage of that stuff. What was more important to me was like, I want to tell the authentic story about what happened to Doom 2016. I cannot tell that story unless you give me insight into Doom 2014. So there wasn't even, by the time they were talking to us, that never even came up. It wasn't even like I had to sell them on it, because they know what we're making. They know that we're not doing some puff piece. They know that we're not there to preview a game or get a headline. Like, they know that we're there to try and make good work. Like, the art comes first, and I feel like when you meet me and Jeremy, that comes across pretty fucking quickly as well, because then all we do when we meet developers is bitch about the press, basically. So I think like the only back and forth we had, and this is why the videos were on the 12th, and I was saying, you might remember, I said it might be on the 5th or might be on the 12th. Why it ended up being on the 12th is because the footage that we got had to go through like 3 or 4 different people before it would ever get to me, and there was at least one time where there was stuff coming through and then it got revoked and then got retinkered and then got sent again. But like, no, they trusted us. To be completely honest, like I pitched them the reason why they should send us stuff. It wasn't always a done deal. Like, we had them talking about the game, but we didn't have footage. But it was just like, I sent a really honest email just saying like, this is why I think you should do this, and I think it's a really good opportunity for you to own this in a way, because the only ever footage of this game was a trailer that somebody fucking leaked to Kotaku. So like, here's the opportunity to really like make this be part of your story, and not just, because otherwise all I'm doing is showing that trailer over and over again, right? And throughout the entire process, both it and Bethesda were just super like cool about everything. And a really just massive shout out to Matt Frary over at Bethesda for helping us put this together, and all the team over there as well. And of course to Marty and Hugo for being so open, because even when you stick a camera in people's faces, they don't have to fucking tell the truth. They don't have to say anything. I could have asked about those games, they could have said nothing. But they didn't. They sort of trusted us, so it's great. Yeah, I've no fear of that. I mean, nobody will pull anything. If we put up something and then they asked to pull something, like, I feel like legally I have both the funding and everything else to back it up, and also like all I have to do is say, oh, they're trying to take this down, and then someone else will copy it, and that'll be it. The internet's the internet. So, but that stuff won't happen. I really don't think that'll happen. The production timelines on this stuff is too long for that stuff to like happen. It's not like we turn up somewhere and then put the video up the next day. Like, they have plenty of time ahead of time to think about it, and plenty of time to reconsider it while we're editing it. So no. Yeah, I'll talk more about that. There's probably more questions here about that, so I'll keep going. Paul Connolly asks, can we get more Hugo? Just his random musings on stuff. Yes, right now I'm actually uploading the extended cut. It's at 99%, 2 minutes remaining, so that'll be up maybe before this goes up. I don't know what order I'm putting these up. This will be up for patrons. 7 days later it goes up for everyone else. So if you're in I think it's the $10 tier, isn't it? The $10 rewards, then you can get access to this pretty quickly. The Hugo interview it's about an hour and 5 minutes, I think. Yeah, so plenty more Hugo. It's the nature of editing, is we don't get everything else in, and there's loads of stuff, him talking about Jaws and shit, which is pretty funny. So yeah, enjoy that. Guy was brilliant. Guy was interview gold. So much fun. Magnus Teg Valius, did the people give any feedback if they're happy with the results of the 3-part series? No, I've reached out now to everyone to see what they think, but during the process I try not to. Once I'm in the edit, I try not to like talk to those folks too much, except when I'm trying to get assets and whatnot, because I really don't. I want to sort of like, I don't know, emotionally distance myself a little bit and just look at it as like a story to tell. But I'm always interested after the fact from from an accuracy perspective more than anything else, and there was a lot of inference in this and that there wasn't in Rocket League. One of the criticisms actually I got a lot from patrons, which definitely made its mark on this one, was that there wasn't as much of me sort of contextualizing stuff. And I said from the start that I didn't want NoClip to be about me. I wanted it to be about the games, and my own musings and stuff can go on my own YouTube channel. But I did sort of listen to that criticism and think, yes, I was essentially asking them to tell the entire story. And while you can kind of get away with doing that with Rocket League, there's so much like baggage when it comes to id Software that I think I needed to jump in and contextualize a lot of it. But there was a lot of like inferring information in there as well, right? Because I'm like talking about the old days, and I hadn't interviewed Romero or Carmack or Hollinshead or anyone. I'd interviewed Kevin about it, but I didn't really ask him that much about it, to be honest. He seemed to not remember a lot, which was quite cool. I asked him what his favorite Quake 3 map, and he was like, I don't know. It's like the dude made half of them. It's amazing. Or at least textured them. There's actually really good. I felt bad because the only part of Kevin we had in about it was about the Doom 4 project. But he was the developer on Snap Map, so we have a whole video about him talking about Snap Map going up as well. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm looking forward to hearing back. I got heard back from Psionics, loved it, for the Rocket League one. I just want people to feel proud of the videos that they see, at least when it's these ones, you know. My goal isn't to make those people happy. My goal is to tell the right story, and I feel like that's what my role within the industry is to be a medium between their stories and you guys, and you guys come first. But yes, it's always flattering to hear if they like it. But mostly from an accuracy perspective, I like to know that I got the story right more than anything else. Christopher Metzger, man, that's almost Chris Metzen. That's interesting. The never before seen footage of 1.0 has me wondering about your level of access as an independent. Is it more difficult to reach companies without a big name of GameSpot behind you, or do you find that people are actually more forthcoming since you've made such a point of distancing yourself from the traditional games media machine? That is a wonderful question, and it's one that I was asking myself literally the entire time before I set this up and throughout this entire process. And originally I thought it was the first one. I thought that the reason I was getting access at all these places, and it certainly was at the start, believe me, when I was nobody working at GameSpot UK, I was able to get, you know, people that I thought were interesting people, John Hare and Sir Scoots and, you know, Scott Smith and all these people. I was able to get them into do interviews because I had the GameSpot name behind me. But no, I think it's the opposite now. I think people were less forthcoming because there was an intimidation when it came to GameSpot, whereas with us, and this might swing the other way now, you never know, because now we've got like 500,000 views on this one video and everything else, so you never know. But I do feel like there's a control aspect with me where they feel like they can. I feel like companies feel like they can control one person, whereas they don't necessarily feel like they can control a company. And control is a very important thing for PR, I think, is that. And I don't mean control in that like influencing, but like I mean control in that being able to see everything, being able to see the whole picture. And ultimately, when it comes to what NoClip does, it's I'm the point of contact and nothing else goes above me. It's not like I have managers or lawyers or anything else. So as long as they trust me, they know they can trust NoClip. And I think that before they trusted me, but they didn't necessarily trust GameSpot or the media machine, as it were. For right or for wrong, you know, it's just, that's the nature, I think, of when they're communicating with a large company. So yeah, I think if I was working for GameSpot, I would not have gotten this footage. And if I was working for GameSpot, I mightn't have been able to do this project as well. I probably would have, because they basically let me do whatever I wanted. But also, like, this was not a preview. This was like a deep dive into a game that came out already that like people were kind of into, but it wasn't exactly like Call of Duty or anything. You know what I mean? But I mean, that's what we're here to do, is to tell the stories people actually give a shit about. So. I do feel that way. And what's great now is that with every project we do, people know what NoClip is more and more and more. And now that we have this, like, if we were to do another story that was another piece of vaporware, or like a lot of people said, like Last Guardian and Final Fantasy and all that stuff, like we're not. I'd love to talk to those people. Hopefully we can do it at some stage. But like, even if we do that now, there is a sort of a, what's the word, like a knowledge that like that is what we do, and there's precedent. So I think that's going to make it even more exciting, Christopher. So looking forward to that. Excuse me. Delicious. Jeff Ulrich says, Ooh. Love the 2 series you've posted on YouTube so far. And I love the Overwatch series, different games. Thank you so much. Christopher Medser was in that one. I was wondering what your plans are regarding documentaries, not about the production and reception of video games, but about the surrounding industries that are connected to gaming. An example would be like a documentary of the early days of gaming media, like a games media or the earliest gaming news sites, or maybe something about the rise and fall of G4. Any plans for documentaries like that? Similar to the question we got up above, I think it was like the first one, was it? From Greg. About the media specifically, yes, but not for a while. Video games is the focus, and the problem is if I decide to do something that's not necessarily about video games, then I'm deciding there's only one of me and 2 of us, so if we don't, then that's a month or whatever we wasted that we could have told a story about a video game about, right? So it's not about like telling specific stories, it's about telling a story over all of the other stories. But yeah, like voice acting is definitely one that we're going to dive into properly. Gaming accessibility is one that we're talking to a lot of people about doing. The media will certainly be another one we'll do. I'm interested in talking to people like, I would say celebrities, but like big sort of, I'd love to like interview people who directed video game movies. I'd love to like talk to Demetrius Johnson about being on Twitch. I'd love to talk to loads of like Ronda Rousey about her love of World of Warcraft. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So yes, there's like stuff to do outside of it, but I feel like again we're talking a little bit in the future with that sort of stuff. Tori Thompson asks, do you have a lot of knowledge and go into the interviews knowing what the story is, or do you go in with a clean slate and let the story fold you over the course of the interview and in post? No, I go in with a lot of the way I kind of do it is I have in my head I have like a half dozen different ways that this could go. Like it's like pouring water down a hillside and seeing where it puddles up and where it keeps flowing. And you'll probably see in the extended interviews that I bounce between them. I'll ping them. I like to keep them like on their toes a little bit at the start and not just have them like telling one story for 40 fucking minutes or like one part of the industry for 40 minutes. So you'll see it a lot in the Hugo one. I kind of bounce back around. But I have an idea. So the ideas that I had beforehand was, one, what happened to the Doom 2014, Doom 4, and I wasn't sure if we'd get enough to fill out a whole interview with that one. So I was like, all right, we'll see. So that's one. Another one was I wanted to talk about the first level, and I want to talk about the specifically the sort of like how that got built. 3, I want to talk about tone, which could have gone into 2 or could have been on its own thing. So that was another one. 4 was the music, and that was if we could get Mick. We did get Mick. We got him really late. It was last Friday. It was this day last week I interviewed him. So we ended up stuffing that into 3, but the extended interview for that will hopefully satiate all you music fans, which is really cool. I love the fact that we've got like 2 really good music interviews already. So we're going to build this like vault of just video game music interviews while we're building the other ones. Because music is definitely another one that people have asked us a lot about doing more interviews about. And I just sort of had all these, and I have questions that sort of relate to each one. And then it's just sort of like, you also like allow for them to take it in the direction they want to tell. Because the thing is, like, the interviewer goes in with questions. The interviewee goes in with things that they want to say and things that they don't want to say. Like, that's all they're worried about. All they're worried about, like, these are the things that I feel confident talking about. These are the things I don't. So there's like 2 things. 1, you want to get the information you want to talk about. And then 2, you don't want to break their flow. You want them to feel like they're in control of the conversation. You want them to feel like they're interesting and that you're vibing off what they're saying. So if they want to talk about something that isn't necessarily what you care about, like, I still ask them a question about it, like, afterwards. Even when they're done talking, I'll ask another question, because it might actually get in somewhere to where you're looking. And at the very least, you've wasted 5 minutes. Not even wasted. You've had 5 minutes of talking to them, and they feel more confident. Their chest is broader. You know what I mean? So we go in with a lot. Like, it's a reason we do long interviews. Like, the interview with Marty was 2.5 hours long. Like, he's on camera for 10, 12 minutes maybe less. And we interviewed him for 150. So Like that's why we do. The Hugo one's an hour and 5 minutes, 10 minutes long. So, and he's on camera for probably a decent amount as well. Kevin Cloud one was 40 minutes. You know, so that's why we spent 2 days there as well. So that's kind of part of it. But yeah, it's a little bit of both. And then in post you can, you end up telling your own story, and you can see that when you see the edit as well. So when you see the extended cut of Hugo's interview and then watch how he came across, like there is a difference there. So you can fix stuff in the edit, but you really need to like have the, you build a house with the ingredients. You bake the cake with the ingredients you have, so you collect as many ingredients as you can, and then you've got a better chance of making a delicious cake. Delicious. You just put cocaine in it and it's delicious. Michael Batal, that's a Father Ted reference. I'm not saying you should have cocaine. Did Mick Gordon mention anything about working bits of the original Doom music into the new score, or will that be answered in the extended interviews? I thought that was a really nice touch. Great work, Danny. Keep it up. He talks about it a little bit, but he talked about it so much in his own videos. He's got like videos up on his own YouTube channel about integrating the old music that I didn't necessarily want to like overlap, because I only had him for like an hour or so. So definitely check those out. Check out his YouTube channel. He also sent us all those videos so we could like pull B-roll from them, and he sent B-roll, and he sent us lossless versions of the soundtrack, because I asked him if we could use the music, and he was like, well, Bethesda use it, but thanks for asking. Yes, and also here you go. So that was pretty cool. Thanks so much for watching, Michael. But the extended interview with him is fucking fascinating. That guy is so clever. You can tell he's one of these people who locks himself away and into his work, and that like he's so giving of his time that like you could tell it's almost like so effortful for him to like engage like that, because he gives so much of himself in an interview. And to me, he feels like that person where he gives a lot of himself in social situations and then like retreats to the inner mind and makes his thing. He comes across to me as somebody who's like a genuine genius and likes his work to kind of speak for it. I really enjoy talking to him a lot. He's a fascinating dude. Very talented and very nice. Chancellor, I know you had a bunch of ideas for upcoming docs already in your head, but do you think you will ever revisit some of the old games/stories you covered with GameSpot? Not for a while. I mean, No Man's Sky would be one, definitely. I think that might, to me, that would be one. They have that big patch out, which is good. I would like to revisit that because I feel almost culpable in that whole thing. There was a certain time, I think I mentioned this before, where we actually shot a lot more stuff about No Man's Sky, but ended up not posting it because I felt like there was too much coverage going on about the game. But we also, I also put up a pretty popular 4-part series on GameSpot about that game 3 years ago now. So, so I would love to do that. That and the depression one, to do something a bit more deep about mental health that's less... that was pretty shallow. The one that I did was a little bit like could have been better. It was a young video. It was a very like sort of naive new journalist kind of thing. So I'd love to tackle that again. Paul Connolly says, anything off limits such as John Carmack and the like. I've seen Marty a bit apprehensive to talk about his contribution to the project before. Was wondering if you broached the subject. The only thing that was off the table, which I assumed and was told but already knew and didn't give a shit about, was the litigation stuff, because they're in active litigation, ZeniMax are, so that was that. But no, I mean they all talked about who was involved in the project and his name didn't come up, so there you go. Like, I don't think John Carmack was involved in Doom really at all. I think he was involved in the tech side, and I think he was doing his virtual reality stuff, but when it comes to design of the game, it looks like Kevin Cloud was in charge of the previous version and Carmack was not involved. It did not seem in anything to do with Doom 2016, and it seems like that probably is, I don't know, it seemed like he wanted to do virtual reality stuff. He was doing rocket ships for years before that as well. I'd love to talk to him about it. I think Carmack's an incredibly interesting guy. I'd love to do like a round table with him and someone else and have them ask questions to each other or something. But no, I don't. There was nothing like that going on. I wanted to tell the story of Doom 2016. We can tell the story of Doom 1 and Quake and all those things in the future. Like, there's nothing stopping us. We can give those the right TLC, but I didn't necessarily want to bundle these people in together. Sorry, the video just cut off because I ran out of hard drive space. The reality of having terabytes and terabytes of uncompressed or unedited video rushes on your hard drive. Getting back into it. Joel Vowley asks, was the team indeed receptive to having you being there to help tell their story? Obviously, they answered your questions well, but did they understand the heart and soul behind why No Clip is making these docs? Have they seen your past work, Rocket League and Overwatch? Cheers again for a great job on Doom. To you and Jeremy. Thank you so much, Joel. So, I kind of answered that a little bit earlier. I would say that the mood when I turned up was both excited and apprehensive. I think that they were excited to talk about the project. They were excited they'd all seen the Rocket League documentary, which is amazing. Tim Willits came out of the door while the cab pulled up, and who's like, Tim Willits is the guy who like made the shareware Quake 1 level and was the lead on Quake 3 and Rage. And he came out and had like watched the Rocket League docs and was excited to talk to us. And I was like, fuck it out. All right. We're going to be this. At least people know that we're not like snake oil salesmen, I guess. But I think that they were also a little bit apprehensive because they knew that I was going to ask questions about something that they had never talked about publicly. So, I think it was a mixture of both. And yeah, the other thing I guess is that Marty had seen basically everything I'd ever said about Doom, including my, sort of criticisms of what they showed at E3 last year. We talked a bunch about that in the interview. I think we definitely talked about the E3 demo, and also like the reaction to Snap Map and the reaction to the Glory Kills. I mean, not Snap Map. So it was very interesting because they had seen my turnaround or my evolution of that, and also like I'd interviewed the two of them. I'd interviewed Marty and Hugo at GameSpot the week of launch, so back in June or whatever, May was it, whatever it was. So we had priors that day, and we sat down and talked that day for 90 minutes, the three of us, on a live stream. You can go watch that if you want. So like, I feel like there was a good understanding of where I was coming from, and that's probably one of the reasons why we sort of got the access we did as well, is that they knew that there was a bit of TLC going into this stuff and a bit more. We're looking for an authentic angle, not necessarily the sexiest angle. So yeah, I think that sort of helped. Cody Crumley asks, hey Danny, another great job at this one. Thank you, Cody. As a media production studio in college, I had some questions about the workflow and equipment used for the project. Are you using Avid or Premiere to edit this? Did you generate the lower thirds yourself or grab some off video blocks or any third-party places and just edit the text? What kind of camera did Jeremy use to shoot this with? These are great questions. And is he using shoulder or chest rig for it? Thanks, Danny, and sorry for the really nitty-gritty questions. Just really super curious as a student. Love the work that you and Jeremy have done so far. Thank you so much, Cody. Okay, questions. We use Premiere. Both myself and Jeremy, he color codes using Premiere and also using, what's the other one called? I forget. But yeah, he sends me adjustment layers basically, and a timeline, and I edit it all on Premiere. I had lower thirds created for me. I put the text in there myself manually, but the lower thirds were done by a motion graphics contractor who also did our logo and all that. So I had all that stuff done week one. That's only the thirds. The rest of the motion graphics are pretty rudimentary 2D layering stuff that I do in Premiere as well myself. What kind of camera is Jeremy using? He is using a C100. It is a Mark 1. Yes, it is. So that's what he's on for that. Is he using a shoulder or chest rig? He never shoots. Jeremy hardly ever shoots shoulder. He puts it on sticks for basically everything. So all the shots are like so. The static shots are totally static, and the go watch like he's very different to Andy, who I used to work with at GameSpot a lot. So if you go back and watch the Overwatch thing, watch the intro to the Overwatch. It's all static shots, but they're all moving. It's all shoulder shots. And then that wasn't even Andy. That was Richard Lee. Similar kind of thing though. And even then he'd use like a shoulder and then walk around with it. Jeremy does everything on sticks, on tripods. So the only thing we didn't shoot with that, I think, is the stuff we use here. He's got a gimbal. He's got a Ronin, but we used it for the Patron trailer, but we did not, and we used it for one or two shots on the Rocket League one. We did not use it here because we had so much to shoot. And so little time, and I wanted to do longer. We were doing more, and I wanted to do longer bits as well. So for those, I'm trying to think. I think he was just holding it. he did the tripod in a couple of different ways. We tried to set up our own dolly with a fucking longboard, and it would have worked, except the wheels on the longboard were fatter on one end, so it roll every time it went around there, it rolled up a bit. We literally did a couple of shots here in this room with a fucking longboard to try and get it, because we were renting a dolly, and the company wouldn't give it to us that morning because we didn't have fucking ridiculous insurance. So we ended up doing everything. So all the rest of the shots, most of it's on sticks, even the high ones, and then the rest of them he was just holding, which is why some of the chest shots are a little bit motiony, because he's trying to pull focus while he's doing it. But yeah, Jeremy's fucking a rock star, so gets that shit done. Javis Christensen, what is your dream doc, assuming you could go anywhere and talk to anyone? Grand Theft Auto, talk to the Housers, talk to everyone, I think. That or Half-Life. Actually, probably Half-Life more than that. Half-Life 1/2. A lot of those people are dispersed around the place. And I have other dream docs. They're for older games, but they might actually happen early next year, so I'm not going to talk about this. A couple more questions, because I'm going to split this into a couple of different videos, so I can put them out over the Christmas break as well with all these interviews. Tom Grundy, not to get too far ahead of anything, but planning on doing anything in Galway, e.g. interviewing the Romeros. I'm going to be back there for Christmas, and that place is an amazing little town with what appears to be a burgeoning indie scene. Also, any plans on enabling ads on the YouTube channel? As a Red subscriber, I wouldn't mind if some of that money went to you, and you could get potentially post the videos behind a password on Vimeo if subscribers want ad-free. That's true. I could have done that with all the stuff we do, the unlisted stuff, and I was using YouTube as like a tester to see if any of them get leaked. We had one which either got leaked or just got a lot of eyes on it. I can't tell the difference, but the rest of them have all been fine. Nobody's really doing that, which is good, because I don't have to go through the hassle of doing all that shit. But no, I don't want to serve ads on this stuff. Like, I get it. Like, I think it's great that you're a YouTube, you're a Red sub, and I think that's a really positive way of contributing to people, but I rather this stuff just be free. Like, I think it's really cool. I think it's awesome that we are this tiny little studio which only exists because of like the people who watch our stuff, and that there is not one part of the business model that gives a flying fuck about advertising. I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. It's like a massive feather in our cap, and I wouldn't give it away for the world. So no, I'm fine. There's not one part of me that looks at that 1.4 million views and thinks about the money we could have got for it from advertising at all. Could not care less. This was never about money. So as long as we, like I said, obviously it's about money because we wouldn't be able to do this without funding, but like there's nothing about this which is like, the business is scalable with the money. This isn't about like me, like, if we have with the current funding we have now, we can do so much. With more, we could do more, but like with what we have now, we can do so much. So it's fine. So like that part of the business, the pressure is off me, a good amount. So I don't need to do that. And I think having advertising on the videos, like I want NoClip to be just fucking cool. Like I want it to be a cool fucking thing. It's like we go and we do the thing, the hard thing, so that we can give it to people, and we give them the extended cuts, and we give them the footage, and we give them blah blah blah. And like literally everything anyone asks for, we just do, and there's no like holding back. And at the same time, we don't ask them to watch ads, and it's like it's fucking rad. Like I just think like this thing is cool, and I don't want to mess it up and make it not cool, because once you do that, it's done. You can't make it cool again. So that's my super inside marketing analogy of what NoClip is all about. But thank you so much. I really appreciate you even like thinking about that. It means you supporting us a lot, so I really appreciate it. A couple more questions. Beautiful work, Danny and Jeremy. While I haven't played this creation, Doom, maybe over Christmas break. Yeah, I do. It's really good. I grew up on Doom 1 and 2, which was a blast to watch. The QuakeCon behind the scenes footage was awesome. My question is, did you expect them to say and provide as much information about Doom 4? If so, did you change the story you were planning to tell? Thank you, team. I can't wait for the next teaser. This is why I usually look over questions beforehand, because we get a lot of repeating ones. But sorry, Colby, great question. Like I said, I was expecting them to talk about it a bit. I wasn't sure how much. They talked about it kind of where I was happy with it. I wouldn't have minded more. If I got less than that, I would have been disappointed. So I was happy enough with the information. Because again, it's about like not pressing them too much on it, because like they'll tell you what they want to tell you, and if you start pressing them about it, they're not really going to tell you that much more, and they're going to piss you off. So I pressed them a little bit. I pressed Kevin probably the most of anyone, and then it was about getting the footage, which was kind of more crucial than that. Yeah, so I'm happy with it. David Backholder, one of the documentaries I like to see from NoClip will be other YouTubers committed to providing quality gaming coverage, interviewing people like Boogie, Angry Joe, Jim Sterling, etc., how they got into the industry, how they built their brand, why they do it, and their battles against companies paying for their content. Is there something in scope what you'd like to do with NoClip, or are you more focused on game creators? No, that is 100% one that I would love to do. There's loads of people I'd love to talk to. I think Super Bunny Hop would be another great person to talk to. I think Total Biscuit would be another place to talk to. I've talked to some of those guys. A lot of people seem into that. I've talked to Boogie about doing something. He seems into it. I don't really have a relationship with Jim. I don't know if he even knows who the fuck I am. But he's on Patreon as well. I'd love to do something with him. I think he's super smart. So there's that, and then also Twitch streamers. I want to do one on Twitch, which is like one interview with the business, one interview with a streamer, one interview with a fan, and like show the sort of 360 angle on that as well. Totally into it. Noel, my buddy, Noel Ransom. Hey Danny, big fan obviously from GameSpot blogging days, dude. You're not a fan, we're friends. Make it a fan thing. This is more of a creative question. What do you typically turn to for inspiration when it comes to the creation process? Are you guys following a specific format, or do you always looking for new methods to visually tell a story? I really do think it's a melting pot kind of thing. Music is a big driver, which you can probably tell. Music videos and like trailers for movies and things like that. Like all of these videos have a strong sort of late title card kind of bit to them, or at least the first two do. The third one doesn't by design, because I don't want, because by then it's boring. By then it's like trite, right? But yeah, in terms of the creation process, I'm very visual. I'm not very good at reading, but I'll like browse through my art books and like graphic novels and things like that. Watching videos. I watch movies a lot. That helps a lot actually with pacing and things like that. I try not to watch documentaries anywhere near when I do a doc, because then I think I end up trying to repeat what they're doing. So stuff that's kind of like complementary but not the same thing is kind of where I go for. And then a lot of like eating well and sleeping well and going for runs and stuff like that, because the week off is really hard, and you're always on the brink of like getting really sick, it feels like, because and I like that. I used to work in theater, and the theater was all about like working a little bit for weeks, and then like 2 weeks of fucking insane work, and I really like that. It's like the process of like completely consuming myself in the work and getting like kind of like oddly like stressful and not really sleeping, and like, but it's kind of fun. It ends up this fever dream where you make something that you wouldn't have otherwise made. It's almost like taking like psychotropics when you're painting, except without that element of needing to like destroy myself. Like I try not to do that. I try to eat really well. I eat like the best I ever ate probably during that period. And I exercise, but I don't sleep that much for the last couple of days, and it's a really sort of a strange kind of process. So like the intro for that first video, the like insane one where like the fucking ha and the red background, and then the fucking that song, which is I think it's the ending boss song from Doom comes on, and fucking NoClip comes up at the fucking shot. That whole thing was edited at like 3 a.m. when I was sleep deprived. I was like, oh, I fucking god. I was like, I had like an epiphany, and then just like put it all together and like did the weird little sound effect on their voices where it's like they're all talking about doing like this, like, and that was like that didn't come from like reading my editing notebook. So it's weird. Like, and who knows, maybe if I didn't work that way I'd come up with something better. I don't know, but it's always weird. I'll watch it a week later and I'll be like, whoa, that's what I made? Like, that's a really weird way of doing that, but sure. Like the Rocket League ones, I go back and I'm like, So, I don't know. It's weird. I'm very grateful I have a supportive wife who doesn't mind me staying up until fucking 5 a.m. to edit things. Alright, one more, two more. LJ O'Brien, can you fit all those chess pieces on the board? Not all of them. That was the point. The whole point was to have that one shot at the end where there was the white one in the middle and all of the wooden what do you call them, onyx or whatever. Oh, it's not. I was going to get a stone one actually, but then they were so fucking expensive that, because buying a chessboard is not cheap, right? So we got those, I think, for like, I think it was $24 each or something. I donated 2 of them to the hospital that my wife works at, and then Jeremy took one. I've got one. It's over there. You can see it. That's it right there. But no, you couldn't get them all in. But I wanted to have the ones where it was like all of the dark ones around the edge, like consuming it like a vignette almost, and then having this little fucking pawn in the middle, which is dumb. Somebody called me out and they were totally right. And then we thought about changing it, like popping it, changing it. It shouldn't have been a pawn. It should be a queen. It should be the queen in the middle, because like it's the most powerful piece. And by that stage, you are the most powerful piece. So Okay, last question. Stephen Chapman, what was the hardest part, 1, 2, or 3 of the Doom series to edit? 1 by far. Got the most work. Tell you what happened in Rocket League as well. Rocket League 2 was a little bit... I should have spent more time on it, so I did better this time around. And I'm really happy with part 1 and 2 of this. Part 3 is a bit more of a... like... smattering of different topics together. But the thing is... here's the weird thing. The thing is that, like... part 1 is the hardest to make, because part 1 is the one that, like, I'm trying to get you to, like, connect to all these people. In part 2, it's like watching the sequel to a movie. You kind of already know what's going on, and you already know the people we're interviewing, and you have an opinion on them, and you know more about the game, and you feel like you're emboldened with your knowledge. So as an editor, it's a lot easier to do the second video, because the viewer is coming in. I mean, not everyone, there's some people coming in fresh, but most viewers are coming in with like a certain amount of sort of, I don't want to say baggage, but like a bit of context for the whole thing. So the first one's always the hardest, because you're trying to introduce the people, you're trying to introduce the story. The story we're telling in the first one was the hardest to tell as well. It was the one that needed me to do more VO and more to camera stuff and more contextualizing, and it was the one that had all the gameplay in it. And it's like, all right, we haven't got that much gameplay. How do we use it in the right way? Where do we stick it in? How do we have it so it's not just like getting edited into the video so much that nobody gets to actually appreciate it? And that's one thing we're actually going to do for patrons. I think. I should say maybe, hopefully, is I want to stick up unedited versions of those bits of gameplay so that people can just see them. Because obviously, when you're looking at the game, the Doom 1.0, Doom 4 1.0 stuff, it's all with us talking over it and a bit of music. And I tried to make it so that we like extended cuts of gameplay in there for people to really enjoy it. But yeah, that whole sort of aspect of it came together to make the first one the hardest one. The first video took like a good 5 days probably of editing to put together. And also, like, the other thing is, like, the first video informs everything else. Like the style, the logo treatment, the titling, the intro, the visual effects. Like I used the Feller VHS stuff a lot again in this one, except it was all red colored VHS shit. You know, that informs all that. So the second one is derivative of that in a way that sort of makes it easier to edit as well. Like even down to like the size of the thirds and things like that, you know. But yeah, that's it. All right, that's the first Q&A. I'm going to do a couple more of them over the next couple of days. Extended interviews coming out for patrons and $10 reward tier for the next couple of days. You'll just have to wait a week, 7 days, so they'll be ready for you just after Crimbo. I think the second one goes up Stephen's Day. It's the day after Christmas. I think 26th. What day is today? Does that make sense? Oh no, 23rd. Christmas, day before Christmas Eve. Hugo will be up for everyone. So, or the day or Christmas Eve, one or the other. I'm not sure when I'm putting these videos up. My wife's calling me. I better go. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.